Connor, did you say you're on drugs for this episode? Is that what you just said off air?
No, it's 420, but no.
It's not 420. How is it 420 at all?
It's 20th of April.
Very
it's
true.
420.
Okay, I just thought you were implying...
Also Hitler's birthday, if you must know.
That's good to know. Well, we've
How
got
do
a
you
lovely...
know that?
Yeah,
I was listening to fucking H3, of course.
You fucking...
We're all great things.
You Nazi
revealed.
sympathiser, mate. Let me tell you.
No! Adolf Hitler, dude!
H3. Do you know what H3 stands for?
H3 is the go.
Hitler 3. It's a Hitler podcast. That's what Connor listens to.
Actually, that is not true.
Hitler
It's
3.
Ela and Ethan. Ela and Ethan. H3.
We are joined today by a lovely guest.
Yeah.
A lovely guest of a cyber capacity, some would maybe say. Connor, can we...
Is John Lumick in the house, you might say?
Ooh. Let's do the Cyberman theme.
Niche reference?
Let's do the Cyberman theme. Bum, 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 bum. Returning to the show, it's our good friend and yours.
To headphones.
It's Dylan. Oh my god.
All right. It has
like-
been too long.
Whenever we play this, I feel like we're
Too
doing
long.
like a game show.
Well, that's what we do here. We play mind games with
Like we're
with our
doing
guests.
Jeopardy. Dylan, thank you for joining us again.
Jeopardy, yeah.
It's been too long.
Thank you for having me.
Dylan joins us over from the UK, one of our first ever sort of, I guess, listeners that got in touch with us and started chatting and has become a good friend of ours.
I think the first, if you ask me.
I think Dylan was, yeah.
I think
very early
the
on.
first.
Yeah.
The first. So
I think I messaged you around episode 3,
yeah.
which is insane, by the way.
Well, you were one of
Mental.
one viewer
That is
that
insane.
watched that episode at the time. So.
Yeah.
That is insane.
I remember listening to one of your episodes, and I think Aiden was just like, "Thank you to the 3 listeners that listened last week."
We've come a long way, you know.
We have,
We
we
can
have.
play now,
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
you
we
know,
have.
we've come a long way.
The weird thing is those early episodes are now like our kind of our biggest ones.
Our greatest hits, you
Well,
know.
because people go back and listen
Yeah.
that now.
Well, it's a popular era as well. So
That's true. Everyone goes back to the good old RTD era.
how can they do that though? How can people actually go back and listen to that? So I'm selling it really well.
That scum.
That
Yeah.
pig trough. You know, I just think it's like not great, but I guess we're going to be more.
We can be better.
You know,
So people are going
Yeah.
back and watching those RTD episodes. We've got some RTD new Doctor Who news hot off the press that just dropped today.
I know, right?
We're going to get into that very
Yep.
shortly, as well as our review of the Ghost Monument. We're going to talk
Goat
about
Monument.
We're going to talk about Doctor Who on Fortnite, and we are some Jinx Monsoon costume stuff has come out. So we're going to give some opinions and
Very cool.
things like that. And yeah, that's what we're doing. Let's get into the theme song because it's important. It sets the tone.
Hold on.
50% podcast.
Dylan, how have you been since last time we spoke? There's been all sorts of new Doctor Who-y things coming out. Of course, Doomsday. Since then.
Oh, yeah.
So how have you been? How have you
Yeah,
been
of
feeling
course.
about everything that's been happening?
Yeah, man. How have I felt about Doctor Who? Before the show, me and Connor were talking about it. It's exciting, but it's all been a bit lackluster. I'm not. I will be the first to admit it. I'm not one of these people that was like super upset by Doomsday because I didn't expect much in the first place.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it just feels like we've just been getting like little straggles of stuff rather than anything that's like really exciting. I think the last time we spoke was Time Heist, right?
No, it
Wow.
was we did the Caretaker because you wanted to do Time Heist, but
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
The
schedules
Caretaker-
couldn't work or
yes.
something.
God, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So since the Caretaker, obviously we have had the trailer, which I
Yes.
thought was very fun, very cool.
Very nice.
But apart from that, yeah, I'm just waiting for something more interesting to drop. Hopefully tomorrow with the Blue Peter thing. Although I do not think it's going to be anything that crazy. So my theory about the Blue Peter announcement is that it's going to be the sonic screwdriver, and that they're going to also announce a competition to design a sonic screwdriver. That's what I think's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's my current theory.
That would be a good theory. It's going to be outdated because it's going to, by the time this episode comes out, we're going to know what it was. So you're either going to sound really clever or really stupid.
Yeah.
So
well, they did that.
Yeah.
They did that with they always use Blue Peter like gadgets and gizmos that kids design. I know there was like Free and Deep Breath.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the fucking Absorbaloff designed by like Blue Peter?
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah, I think the kid.
Hell.
I think it was like Julia Monster.
The kid who designed it now has a very successful YouTube channel.
Yeah,
where he talks about Doctor Who and Spider-Man and stuff.
That's not
insane.
But we didn't design the Absorbaloff.
Successful YouTube channel.
So
hey, what
funny.
a goat villain to make though. That's sick. This is why Blue Peter slaps.
Imagine being like, yeah, guys, I created the Absorbaloff. Actually, that is a flex. I say that like that's not a flex. That's a huge flex.
That is a fat flex.
Yeah,
like, it's such a great villain.
One
of my favorite villains, actually.
It tastes like.
They based the whole episode around his creation.
Mad.
Like, it wasn't like a little background character. Like, the whole episode was centered around the Absorbaloff. Yeah, insane. And he designed it when he was like, what, 8?
Yeah, he was like hell young.
Mental.
That's what I mean, like, imagine having that
crazy.
done when you were like a kid. You would just be so.
And then watching it, and the episode ends with a joke about head
that you would probably never understand when you're 8 years old. Yeah, that's
so stupid.
That's what I mean. Like, but I stand by Love and Monsters being goated.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. And bit of a plug, we're going to do, as part of our 60th anniversary watch-alongs coming out in October, November time, we're going to do Love and Monsters for our season 2 edition of that. So
yeah, how good's that? Hey,
stay tuned for
we're
that.
Just we filmed one already, and it's been fun. We kind of had some goofs and gaffs along the way. We said a few things that the good thing about the watch-alongs is, and I was thinking this, it's almost like doing a live show because you can't edit out anything we say. Because if you edit it out, then people watching the episode at home will be behind.
I think.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
on the One Away Bride one that we did for Christmas this year, there was one sentence I said that just came out wrong, but like disgustingly wrong, and so I literally just removed the audio. And I put in like blank, like Atmos, so just like room tone there, so no one listening would notice. You'd only notice if you were watching the video and my mouth's moved, but you couldn't.
So Aiden does have a way to get around.
I've got my tricks for when I'm being racist and homophobic. I can fix it up. Yeah. What are you gonna say, Dylan?
That was one of my favorite things that you did over Christmas. Was that
that was cute.
Yeah,
Thank you.
watch along. I thought it was really cool.
I think they are really fun.
Yeah, got good feedback.
More are coming, and I think they're going to be like a fairly niche series that we'll do. But I think exactly some people did watch it and think it was really great. So
we're going to be doing. There'll be 8 of them coming out weekly.
That is
from
nuts.
Like September to November. So
D's nuts.
D's nuts. Got him. Guys, hit subscribe. We want 1,000 of you fuckers. And if you don't get us there, then I'm going to be mad.
We suck.
Dylan, where can they find us on the socials?
They can find you at 50 Doctor on both Twitter and Instagram.
Fuck yeah. Look at this interactiveness.
And also, I think, is it 50 Doctor on TikTok as well?
Yes.
Is it? Isn't it
50
different?
Doctor Who, it might
50
be.
Doctor Who, yeah.
I think
50 Doctor Who.
I think 50 Doctor was taken.
Yeah,
who took it?
we need to maybe up that game. But the other 2 ones, go there, follow there.
They're more
subscribe
active.
to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, the TikTok hit a hurdle, but we can talk about that off air.
I'm so bad at running the Instagram that I give myself shit every day for it. I'm good at running the Snapchat stories with posts. I'm terrible.
The Instagram stories. We don't have a 50% Snapchat.
Did I say Snapchat stories?
Don't try add me on Snapchat.
That's the COVID talking right now.
50% Snapchat.
I've also got a spin-off podcast with my good friend Vinny, Ted Lasso post-match. Actually been doing well stats wise, so that was a pleasant surprise.
Excellent podcast, great podcast.
I have just got some breaking news right now.
You do?
And Dylan will love this. My mum just messaged me saying on ABC iView, Louis Theroux interviews Stormzy. You should watch it.
So those interviews are coming
Hey!
out. Cool.
I've watched it.
Yeah.
I watched it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
you get that you get the BBC exclusive. We get the ABC.
it takes about a year for the ABC to get the rights to anything. So, like I said, we're going to talk about Jinx Monsoon. Okay, let's start there because that's like the
Monster.
That's the start. That's what started this shit all off. All right, Jinx Monsoon.
Yes.
We've known him for a while. Although I don't think we ever reported it on the show.
No, we didn't talk about it for some reason.
I think it must have came out the wrong time of the week and it just missed us.
Yeah.
But Jinx Monsoon, who we know is a drag queen slay, is going to be in Doctor Who. We've had a costume reveal very recently, which is fantastic.
Piano.
Piano says Connor.
No, it's got piano on there.
It does have pianos. I like it. Are you quoting Capaldi? Piano.
A pianist.
Pianist, though.
A pianist, yeah.
But yeah, she's got a cool piano costume. Very spooky, very witch-like. Dylan, I want to hear your thoughts, my friend. Who do you think that Jinx Monsoon is playing in Doctor Who? What's your vibe? Is it going to be a musical episode?
Ooh.
Okay. 100% is a musical episode. 100%. I'm willing to put money on it.
Pianos.
Secondly, it's not the Rani. She's not the Rani.
I'm memeing.
I'm going to be the first person to say it. The Rani sucks, okay? I don't know if you've ever watched a Rani episode. She sucks. She's awful. She doesn't need to come back.
Yeah.
I reckon this is a new character. I've seen a theory that Neil Patrick Harris and Jinx Monsoon are playing the same character.
Stupid.
Huh.
No. But here's the thing, right? In the 60th trailer, there's that bit where Neil Patrick Harris throws petals at the screen.
Yeah,
to me, I read that as that's a musical number. He's going to be singing
number.
a song. And it's going to be a musical number. And if Jinx Monsoon is also a musical character, I think that they're either going to be the same group of people or the same character, or maybe Russell just wants to do a bunch of musicals, which I think would be pretty sick. Yeah.
Surely the 60th specials in Series 14 is just musicals.
Oh, fucking
Connor would love that. Connor would actually love that.
God, I hate that. I hate that.
I wouldn't
so
be
much.
against it. I mean, I don't really like musicals that much, but it's Doctor Who, so
I'm fucking musicals.
I can put up with one. One I did. Well,
you'll watch it and you'll love it, mate.
No,
you'll
I don't
love
think
it.
so.
You'll love it. The Doctor will be like, "I'm the Doctor.
I'll be like, God.
I'm traveling through space and time
with my friend Ruby Sunday.
I'm Ruby Sunday. Da da da.
I'm here to stay until I die and get replaced by someone younger than me.
Wow.
And can you get younger than Ruby Sunday? No, she's literally Billie Piper 2.0.
Yeah, if any younger than Ruby Sunday, it'll be a toddler running around the TARDIS, mate.
So by Dylan's theory that Jinx is playing the same character of Neil Patrick Harris, that means that they're both playing Susan Foreman.
That's so good.
Here we go.
So good.
Susan Foreman confirmed.
Yeah, well,
like
Susan Foreman is the main villain. She's that angry that she fucking regenerated and still wanting to kill the Doctor. This time with music.
But we all like Susan Foreman 2.0 / Jinx Monsoon's costume, correct? Do we all nod in agreement?
Yes.
Yeah. Sick, man.
It was pretty cool.
All the costumes been great so far from the show.
Yeah, it all looks good. And we're going to get into some more costume thoughts in just a second. But going through the linear timeline of what's shaped this last week in Doctor Who, we then started to get some leaks about Fortnite.
Do you know any Fortnite dances, Aiden?
They do the fucking this one, don't they?
What's the ninja one?
This one, right?
This.
You can do that. You could do this.
Fortnite.
There's a few of the old. Yeah, okay. We play Fortnite.
You guys ever had Fortnite phases?
Nah.
No.
No. Okay.
Have
Never.
you?
I did. I played Fortnite for a couple of months, but this was when it was never cool. But this is when it was cool. All right.
Okay.
When it first everyone was like, "Whoa, Fortnite!" But then it was very quickly, and I don't really ever play this, but you very quickly got the COD version of it, which was just a far better, more grounded version.
I played Warzone for a couple of months.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really fun.
Small Warzone phase.
That just started to take over my life again. That's why I stopped playing games, because where does it really get you? Sorry, I know it's a controversial opinion, but it's I was trying so hard to get to level 50, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Got so far.
But they are going to do Fortnite skins in Fortnite, and you know what? We already got Fall Guy skins. I think back in was it December or November last year? So
yeah, there was
that game, the Fall Guys,
Who Fall Guys thing. Yeah,
so great.
There's
if that makes people happy and excited, go ahead.
There was a quote unquote leak about a script for a trailer for the Fortnite thing that they were going to do. I don't know if either of you have seen that. I've sent it to Connor. Have you seen it, Dylan?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Do you think it's real?
I saw it. Yeah.
Shit, I don't remember seeing
I
that.
just don't really care, to be honest with you. I don't really care to know if it's real or not. Like, I don't. I think it's exciting. I do think it's a bit weird that if they were to do a Fortnite, well, Shooty's one of the characters you can play as, right? He's one of the skins.
I believe
that's this is all leaked. None of this is confirmed, but I believe that's
none of this is confirmed. But so if it was me, I would probably wait until we have Shooty and then do the crossover.
Yeah.
Rather than having because David's not staying for long at all, and I don't really in my head consider him the Doctor, right? Like, he is the Doctor, but he's not really the Doctor right now. We're all waiting for Shooty.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit weird if they do introduce David into Fortnite before Shooty. But also, I just don't really care, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't care enough.
Yeah, I'm not going to play it, so I'm not that fussed.
Do you think that'll get you back in the Fortnite, though?
I don't know if I will. No. Part of me wants to play it, but I know I won't. Okay, we have one more little snippet of news, which is big news. And this is hot off the press news, okay? Okay, the official Doctor Who Twitter account. Straight out the oven, mate. It's still on fire. My mittens are burning. Straight off the press. Doctor Who says, what and when is going on here? A first look at the Doctor and Ruby as they arrive in the swinging 60s. Filming continues on the new series of Doctor Who. So this is a welcome Series 14 filming update, and I'll put the pics on the screen here. It's obviously a very 60s looking Shooty and Millie. There's not a lot more to say than that, but the costumes look fucking awesome. Do we like the costumes? What's the vibe? Dylan, talk to us whilst you have good internet.
We love the costumes. And if yet again another great Dylan theory, if my theory is correct, which is that I think Shooty, the costume that was announced a few months ago, is going to be rarely seen in the show, and that Shooty's actually just going to wear a different costume every other episode. That is, I think that is peak choice from whoever decided that would happen. Costume looks really cool. Love the afro. I love the blue pinstripe suit. I think it's all sick. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
So do you think he'll admit to, in the show, do you think he'll say, I'm going to wear a wig today?
Well, that's what I'm like, does he just, regenerate a wig one day?
I think,
and then disappears the next day? Or is it a wig?
I think he's wearing I think he'll admit he's wearing a wig because of the whole, we have a drag queen with Jinx. I think, I don't think Shooty would be ashamed to grab a wig from the TARDIS wardrobe and chuck it on, Why not?
I think what would be really funny is if in the episode he leaves the TARDIS and he sees it's the 60s and he's like, I've always wanted to do this, and then he runs back in the TARDIS and he grabs the wig and then he puts it on and he's like, right, that's better.
It writes itself.
Yeah.
It writes itself. So
I think it'd be really cool.
This Jinx stuff, it's been brewing for a while. We got the announcement not that long ago. And it was only a few days ago that Jinx said in an interview that she's not started filming yet.
Yeah.
But that, she's in doing costume fittings.
She was just in Cardiff and she hasn't started filming yet, yeah.
But now, the announcement we got yesterday, so Wednesday.
Oh my God. I just had a big brainwave theory. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Hit us.
So you know how we all think that it's going to be a musical episode?
Yeah.
What if Jinx Monsoon's character puts so the Doctor and Ruby have not travelled to the 60s. She has put the Doctor and Ruby in the 60s in a musical, and that's why he looks the way he looks.
That would be sick.
He looks in a 60s musical.
Wow.
This is that's a great point. You kind of sort of made a similar point for me there, because I was just going to say that I was going to say Jinx and the 60s episode are probably the same episode, because it looks like they're going to be shooting together. So
and they release all the pictures and stuff the same 24 hours. So
So it must all be happening together, which is exciting. Could we finally get that Doctor Who musical episode? That's a bold. That's big Doctor energy. BDE. That's some big Doctor energy for RTD to like in his first season back to be like musical episode. You know that's what shows do in like season 5 and 6 when they're running out of steam. They're like, here's your musical episode.
Yeah. Okay, I actually like that idea. If they're stuck in like a musical 60s,
they're stuck in a 60s musical like Singing in the Rain vibe,
like Grease or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I got chills and I'm multiplying. And I'm losing control. That'd be shooty.
What is this? The 50% musical episode?
Actually, you know what? If it actually does go for like a Grease vibe, like the diners and shit, I'd click my fingers.
You clap your cheeks to it.
And someone's got to bring it back to something sexual, hasn't he?
I'm a sexual being.
And on Hitler's birthday of everything.
For fuck's sake. It's concerning that you know Hitler's birthday, mate.
I didn't. I heard it on a podcast today.
I didn't know Hitler's birthday, mate.
But you didn't know it was 420 either. You know that's what news is. You get informed about stuff.
You look on Connor's his Spotify watch history, and it's just like Hitler fan podcast.
Yeah. You know what? Sadly, I think those things actually probably do exist.
Of course,
I don't even want to. Yeah. Fucking terrible people that run that shit.
Yeah, and Aiden's actually like a part of them because I knew it was his birthday today because I fucking heard about it.
I'm just saying it's fucking shady. Awful. All right, shady stuff.
You know who else was born in the 60s?
Not me.
Yeah.
Who is?
That's fine. I can't make that joke. All right, go on.
Is this a dodgy thing?
Yeah. No, I'm already... Okay, it's fine.
All right. Okay. Well, let's move on from Hitler and that kind of thing because this is... We're treading the line of being cancelled each week, Connor, and this is the most controversial of them all.
Just because it's someone's birthday doesn't mean you have to celebrate it.
Connor, when Connor walked in singing Happy Birthday with no context, that was...
I did not walk in singing Happy Birthday. I did not. Fucking hell.
That was rough. Okay, all right. Do we want to touch on anything else from those recent news drops, or are we done?
I think it looks great. And do you know what? Everyone's so excited, which is great, because I feel like we went through such a long time of everyone kind of having negative vibes towards Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. So it'd be good to just jump into a season and people be vibing with it and stuff, you know, and
big vibe.
Just doing what we do best, which is
complain.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that if you want. I mean, I feel like, you know, look, we're gonna like I know already like there are people who are complaining about this this woke Who, but it's like, hey man, everything they've announced so far, for season 14 at least, I thought is just like really good progressive choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm big fan.
Oh boy, big news.
Dylan, the episode today is the Ghost Monument, mate.
Yep.
Describe the episode in one word. This is my challenge for you. And not your opinions, I mean the story. Just the story in one word.
Desolation.
Desolation?
I like that.
Desolation.
Well, that gets mentioned in the synopsis.
Yeah. That's a big word.
The desolation of Smaug.
I know.
Is what it reminds me of.
Do we like The Hobbit? Where do we stand on The Hobbit?
It's alright. I rewatched it recently.
I don't really care.
No.
I watched the extended versions.
Oh, God.
In one weekend, I watched the 3 Hobbit movies, extended editions, and I watched the 3 Lord of the Rings extended editions. And I think we added it all up and it was something like 20 hours or something like that.
Right, well, The Ghost Monument is the second episode of the 11th series.
I was so glad when it was over.
The British science fiction television program Doctor Who. It was written by showrunner and executive producer Chris Chibnall, directed by Mark Tondare, and first broadcast on BBC One on the 14th of October 2018. In the episode, the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, Graham, Ryan, and Yasmin travel to a distant solar system, whereupon they become part of an interplanetary alien rally that crash lands at their final stop on the hostile planet of Desolation. Well done, Dylan. That worked well.
See? Yeah.
Becoming involved in the race themselves, the Doctor and her friends find themselves seeking out the finish line, revealed to be the TARDIS, in order to get back to Earth.
Okay.
All right, Dylan, I want to start with you, mate. What did you think in 2018? God, this stuff's getting so recent, isn't it? In 2018, when you first watched this, what did you think of the Ghost Monument, mate?
Do you know what, actually? I liked it in 2018. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, thought it was a good time. What about you guys? How about you?
I'm gonna throw it to Connor.
You know what? It ain't there, man.
You went meh?
I was like, I was kind of... I remember being excited because we hadn't seen the TARDIS in the first episode, which was going to be a big reveal in the app. I know we saw... They didn't release any official pictures, did they? There was like a set leak, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was one set leak just before.
Yeah, so we saw what it looked like. But I think a cool thing they did was like, we didn't really know what it was going to look like in like the great grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. I think they had that going for it.
And we saw the theme song for the first time as well, because that obviously wasn't...
I asked you about that, so I thought I was tripping because I was like, did they play it last week? They didn't.
No, they just played a little bit of... They played a bit of the theme song, but they didn't show the intro visuals.
Yeah, so seeing those two things was good. And I think it gives us more time to... Well, it's supposed to give us more time to, get to know the characters more, I think. Mm-hmm. But I remember just being left quite like meh, a bland ass spaghetti dinner,
Right. I think I had a similar thing. I think because not that the woman who fell to Earth was that hated on or anything at the time. I think people were kind of on board with it at the time.
And so many people tuned in. I think it was one of the best.
It was a huge rating success. Yeah,
huge for Doctor Who.
But I remember, at least maybe amongst our friends or something, I was definitely someone that was standing up for it a little bit more. I was a bit more on the defense side of it. And I remember watching the Ghost Monument and being like, oh no, I just remember just being like, this isn't that great, is it? This ain't it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think I remember I was watching it on like my shitty, actually on this MacBook here, that's right here. Right. And the screen's not great on it. It's very dirty, and it was dirty back then. And I think I remember I was watching it against like sunlight in bed first thing in the morning. And I could hardly see the screen. Right. So whenever it did a dark scene, I couldn't see anything. And that was just a bit of context.
Yeah, I think what it's trying to achieve, I just don't think it does it very well.
Is this now in present day?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't hit it off in 2018 in 2023 with
I think the first 20 minutes I was kind of engaged, and then the last 20 minutes I was actually pretty bored. And I feel like it didn't really do a great... Like Yaz, name me something Yaz did. She does F all.
She did a bit of running, bit of walking.
Great, yeah.
She went on the boat.
Yeah, she does nothing. Like she literally does nothing. And Ryan and Graham have like a scene that I appreciate where they discuss. They actually talk about Greystein.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, yeah,
nothing. Well, I actually, before we get into proper opinions and stuff, I want to tell you my mum story, because the podcast has had plenty of my mum stories since I've been watching them up on the 8K TV in the theatre room.
Woohoo!
Woohoo. I hate saying that, but I know it's just like an ongoing gag now. I bet
Ghost Monument looked lit on the 8K TV.
It looked pretty good, man. It looked pretty good. Yeah. I think some of the colouring is a little bit like overly yellow, and some of the shots are slightly overexposed than what I would personally like. But it looked good on the 8K. But yeah, watching it up on in the theatre room, my mum often will just wander in, and she wandered in and she was on her phone the whole time as usual, just scrolling through. And then it got to the end when the TARDIS rocks up, and Jodie goes, "My beautiful ghost monument," and then my mum goes, "It's the fucking TARDIS, love." I was like, "Oh, mum."
Yeah, your mum kind of looks like Jodie and talks like her.
I remember when Jodie got cast, I pitched it to Mum. I was like, "Mum, she sounds like you."
She actually does.
She looks like you. She sounds like you. If you want to ever picture my mum, this is a weird conversation, just picture Jodie Whittaker.
You want to picture my mum?
I actually regret saying that. Dylan,
that's very odd.
You watched it recently, as in yesterday, I believe. What did you think on rewatch?
First, everything on the ships before they crash, I think is brilliant. I think the final scene with the TARDIS is great. I think everything in between is very lackluster and just feels like wasted potential. My biggest takeaway is that Ryan is written and coded like a 15-year-old and should have been cast as a 15-year-old. Like like this is not me. I'm not even like trying to take the piss or anything. Like the way he acts, the way he responds to certain things, he does it like a 15. Like he does it like a kid. And I think it would make more sense if they cast a younger actor than Tosin, who, by the way, I think Tosin this episode, like he seems to be trying a lot more than last episode, even if he is restrained by the fact that he has to keep doing this Sheffield accent. And I think that's his issue, is that he can't seem to do emotion or the accent. It has to be one or the other.
Someone brought that up.
You know,
we had a comment about that. That actually, I didn't think about that. So he is putting on the Sheffield accent.
He's putting on the Sheffield accent, and yet there's a comment that sort of said, "Do you ever feel like the comment?" Maybe he felt kind of restricted, like maybe, and I think that's a very valid point, because when you try and do an accent, sometimes there is certain words you can't hit, or if you're trying to say a word in a certain way, you maybe can't hit it, and maybe he felt a little bit restricted in the Sheffield accent.
You wee clatty bastard.
What does that even mean?
But it's like a Scottish thing.
Okay. Okay, well, look, guys, I'm gonna say I think I'm mildly in a minority here, because I didn't like it at the time, but on rewatch, I was fully on board with this episode. I don't think it's a great episode by any means, and I think it definitely tapers off towards the end. But I can't lie, I really enjoyed watching this episode. Like, I just enjoyed it. I don't know why. Like, there's so much shit, and I was like, oh, that's a bit shit, isn't it? But I was still like, I'm on board for it. I'm having a good time. I think I've said this a few times on the podcast. I'm a sucker for location shooting. So when you have an episode like this, which is so heavily, beautifully shot on location,
it looks great.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, and I think that kind of thing does wonders for a show. But yeah, and the stuff on the spaceship, you were right, Dylan. It's like that one shot sequence at the start is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's so brilliant. Like, fuck yes, Doctor Who for trying to do shit like that. You know, the little show that chugs along. It's awesome to see it do that kind of thing.
Do you know what? Now that you're saying it, I am actually sort of coming around to it a bit more. I think my issue with the episode is that there's so much stuff that is mentioned, like don't go in the water because the water is hazardous, and then nothing happens. The villains being like tea towels is really not interesting to me. Like, oh no, beware of the killer toilet roll, whatever. The sniper bots, I don't really care about them.
That's what I mean. Like, it kind of is like it's like the Amazing Race, but in space.
Well, that's the thing.
The Amazing Space.
I think there's a lot of stuff in this episode that is really great in concept. I think what would have made this episode really good is if it was a two-parter, right? And if part one was like you actually got to see a bit more of the race with other competitors, and then part two was the Ghost Monument. You know, because for me, the Ghost Monument, one of the negatives of it is it feels a little bit, other than the amazing location shooting, it feels a little bit like a COVID episode. If you know what I mean by extremely limited cast. And that I just feel like it would have done wonders for the story to see the scope of the space race a bit. Whether it was just like a pre-title sequence that showed multiple competitors and then it was
just hear that they've been like, they mentioned like, didn't they say like 15,000 people start?
Yeah.
And now there's only 2. Mm-hmm. It's like, you don't really feel the weight of that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
The whole episode is just full of wasted potential, and that we see all of these things. So like the hazardous water, the killer tea towels, the sniper bots, but they all feel like really lackluster to me. Yeah. There's one scene that I really want to talk about just whilst it's in my head, and that is the reason why the Doctor never uses guns scene, which. So throughout like New Who, it's been very clear that the reason why the Doctor doesn't like guns is because they are weapons of war and they cause harm, right? That's the main point. But in this episode, it's not that. It's because the Doctor thinks they're stupid or like they might backfire on you. I think that's really dumb, and I think that's like a really maybe I'm reading into it wrong, but I feel like that's a poor misjudgment on Chris's behalf as a writer. Because the reason why the Doctor doesn't like guns is not because you look stupid if you have a gun or it might backfire. It's because like actual reasons that I feel like have not come into play. I don't know if that made sense, but yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. I didn't pick up on that too much. Where do you sit with that, Connor?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's weird, and also like I think it's kind of followed by a really cringe Call of Duty reference, which is like we're in 2017 at that time. It's like the kind of thing you'd see in like a 2010 movie where they mention Call of Duty, and you're like, whoa,
yeah.
That reference plays into my whole thing about how Ryan should have been a kid.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. It's stupid, and it's so like, I don't know, just the lines, and I do think it's a bit of Tosin's execution with these lines as well, where he's like,
Call of Duty,
playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Come on, where's the reload?
Where's the reload? And then he goes, ah! And I'm like, bro, Ryan isn't like that. Like, I know it's kind of funny, but it's like, Ryan ain't like that. I don't think Ryan would run off screaming like that. The character doesn't have that much of a sense of humor. Let's be fucking honest. Like, he's not the type of person that would do that. I don't believe that's his genuine, actual character screaming terror. That whenever that comes up, I'm like, fuck, that's so out of character.
Yeah, that scene is. There's a cool POV of the gun, which I thought was fun, where like they run in and it kind of gets like that.
That was cool.
That's some cool directing. I think this guy's. Doesn't Crispy keep saying that? This guy's coming back. The guy who directed
might have said that. Yeah,
he is.
Ghost Rim. Fuck. So I'm. Oof. This is the COVID hitting me. I can barely talk without getting exhausted. Sorry.
Silly Connor.
Sorry.
There was a excellent shot. This is sarcasm, by the way. There was a shot where.
Oh, you hate the direction.
No, the direction was fun. I quite like the directing. It's hard not to make it look good when you're shooting on such a stunning location. But there was a shot where. It was like, look, the sniper bots, they found the hole, the sewer that we climbed down, and the sniper bots, sniper bots, I literally just stood there, like, staring at it, not doing anything. They're just staring at this fucking hole in the ground. And I'm like, no, like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life.
What do you think of the cigar, which gets mentioned? The cigar saves the day.
Yeah, when he's literally like, the cigar... By the way, audience, this will be important in about 10 minutes' time.
It's a secret tool that will help us later.
Literally.
Yeah, that shit was...
I think it's the
flying T-tails, like Dylan said, that's brilliant.
This episode, for me, from like a writing point of view, and like I said, it might have been really well planned. Chibnall might have had all the dots on the board. And he probably did, because you'd be kind of stupid not to if you're writing a big TV show. But just the way it comes off, this episode to me... is like Chibnall had this idea and he's like, oh, it's a space race. They've got to get from this place to this place. At the end, the prize is going to be the TARDIS. And then it just felt like everything along the way he just wrote and just kept writing and just like kind of made it up as he went. Like he knew they had to get to the spot and find the TARDIS at the end. But there's no like, I don't think structurally it works. I think it's a weird structure that, I don't think it's...
One
thing
that I thought was really strange, sorry to interrupt you, one thing that I thought was really strange was the so they set up everything about the Stenza and about how the Stenza are like cleansing the universe, but the Stenza like never rock up again. I know Tim Shaw rocks up, but the Stenza never. And I thought that the Stenza were going to be like the new big bad of like Jodie's era, and it just never happens. I thought it was really strange. I wonder if actually that was a plan.
Yeah,
maybe.
So that's why they were in, because we were saying last week, like, why are they in the episode? The Stenza, they're just like in Women Who Fell to Earth, you know, like why are they there? You know, it's like we didn't really understand their...
Well, I like Tim Shaw. Well, we're yet to talk about Battle of Ransar of Colossus in a couple of months, but in episode 1, Tim Shaw I think is a good fun villain for that one episode.
Toofy boy.
And then I think that this episode, I don't have a problem with that seeing this episode. I think that sets stuff up cool. But I think it's like, it's like a retrospective thing where it's like we never got to see how cool this warrior race was. Like if the finale was like you see the Stenza in full force being like fucking a horrific warrior race, then that would be awesome. But we don't ever get that.
Well, speaking of setup, we get our first timeless child.
The timeless child. Yeah.
Oh, she doesn't understand.
Yeah. Whoa.
Was that planned, do you think?
I hope so.
Was that planned? Or?
Yes. I think it was.
Who?
I think it's kind of clear that, through interviews with Chibnall of the last year or so, I think it's kind of clear that a lot of this era was fly by the seat of the pants, which I I actually think is very common in TV, and I think people shone that a little bit more than they should. I think a lot of shows are always like, they kind of have a rough end point, but they figure out a lot of stuff on the way based off of like character dynamics, what actors are working best with each other, and not they. Because if you don't, you miss out on opportunities, I think, you know.
I just wish they would have delved into it a bit more, though, if they're going to reference it. And because I remember them referencing it and everyone theorising what it had to do, and a lot of people were talking about it must have something to do with Gallifrey. Yeah. And we don't get it. We don't really get any mention of it until season 12.
Yeah. Well, my point was just going to be that it's... I think this was definitely planned from the start, this Timeless Children thing. I think this was something that was in Chibnall's original pitch, because we did hear a little bit about the pitching process very early on in Chibnall's career, and it was... in Chibnall's tenure, and it was clear that he definitely started off with a plan. And I think this being in episode 2, I think it's very clear that this was something that Chibnall planned on doing. Whether or not the ins and outs of it were exactly what it is, but from the writing of it, it's like the timeless child, and she's like, I don't remember that, or whatever it is.
That's a flying tea towel knows what no one else knows.
Don't talk about these fucking flying tea towels, mate. I've got these things are fucking ridiculous. But
hate them.
Yeah.
Awful.
It's another like COVID thing where I'm like, oh, we don't really have like a villain. You know, it's not COVID at all. This is 2018, but it's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like we couldn't get a villain actor in because of COVID, so here's a fucking tea towel.
It could have been so fun though, the whole like Amazing Race type thing where they have all these hurdles and they have all these like they could have done a really cool 3-act structure where like they have to go. Like, they go on the ground, and they have to do this and collect this item, and it's like, you know, they had the 2 final people. They could have been... They're at each other's necks the whole time, but are they really? They're kind of, like, walking together. They're not really doing anything different. They're, like, not really... It's like, they aren't really racing each other. They're literally walking together. They go on the same boat.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what the hell? Yeah, I don't know.
You don't get that threat or the conflict.
I also kind of wish that, like, one of them looks like an alien rather than like having just two human looking characters.
That would be cool.
I don't know. Maybe that was a budget thing.
It's not actually like it's so far from being the worst episode ever.
I enjoy it.
The start is really so cool. The start is really cool, and then the first 10 minutes is really cool, and I think the ending is really great. But I think like we're all saying, I think that in between bit didn't really know. 1 minute it feels like a bit of a heist kind of thing, and then it feels like a target practice thing, and then it's like, you know.
It starts off so exciting, like from that one shot, and the thing is like, as much as you can say one shots were executed well, for me, it's not about whether the one shot was executed well. It's like if it actually served a purpose, or are you just trying to be fucking clever, you know? Like, and for me, it was like it built that tension and it worked well. And even as the ship comes down at the end of, or in the first act, it's like all that stuff really works for me. It's intense, it's exciting. And there should have been excitement through the whole episode because these guys are racing.
Literally, it's a race.
It just feels like they're cruising on a fucking snail boat.
They're walking and they go on a boat.
And it gets a little bit... And I know... I said this last week, but I think sometimes Chibnall era stuff just goes like a little bit like talky, like la 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 la. But I like talking. Like, I love that shit. But it's like dialogue that's so uninteresting.
Do you know what made me laugh? That the bloke tells the story. He's like... When I was 7, my mum told me to climb a tree, and I said no because I hate heights. And she said, "Go on, do it." So I did, and then she said, "Fall into my arms," and he said, "No." It's like, "No, I'll catch you. I'm your mum." And then I did it, and then I fell, and she didn't catch me. And Yaz is like, "Your mum did that?" And I'm like, this is such shit dialogue. It's so cringe. It's like, what does that mean?
Do you guys...
And I learned never to trust anyone. I fell out of a tree. My mum didn't catch me, but she said she would.
I know this is a notorious thing in the Chibnall era. And it's also a thing that happens all the time in movies and stuff. But it's like in the Chibnall era, it's quite obvious when it does happen. Reliance on ADR. And there is one moment in this episode where they're walking up a sand dune, right?
Yeah, I noticed this.
And it's like an extreme ride of them walking up, but you can see that Jodie's not talking.
Yeah, I noticed that.
The standard viewer, probably you can get away with it, right? But the line is like, "Oh, I forgot to put these in my pockets." or something, and then it's like a close up where you can see her give the sunnies to Graham. And I was like, fuck, I actually reckon, and once again, this is all theory, and I hate to like shun a bit of the Chibnall era and stuff, but I think they like shot it, and she just gave him the glasses and stuff, and then in post, they were kind of like, oh fuck, like, this is directly after episode 1. When the fuck did she put the sunnies in the pockets? You know, it feels like that. It could 100% be wrong, but it does come off like that to me.
Well, the sunnies.
Do you know what? Now that you've mentioned ADR, just speaking about dialogue in general, I think near the end of this episode, the dialogue was really grating on me. Like almost every line is a line of exposition. They go into rooms and there'll be a big door, and I can see there's a big door, but a character goes, wow, that's a big door, or like, let's go into this room, let's go do this thing. It's really annoying. Like, I know that.
It's like listening to a fucking Big Finish, but they've got the whole budget to make a full production. One thing that I'll stand up for is Jodie. Jodie cops a lot of shit for how she uses her Sonic, and I think she overuses the Sonic. Don't get me wrong, and that's not her fault. Yeah. But like everyone, I remember like specifically they'd always use the screenshot of her in a corridor from this episode, and she does like the arm out Sonic because that's what she does, and that's part of a doctor. Why the fuck do people have a problem with that? What's wrong with Jodie doing that with the Sonic? I don't mind that.
People have the problem with everything.
Because she does it for like every situation. Like even if it's like scanning like like I get when it's like a big moment and she pulls out the Sonic, it's like really cool. But when it's like she's just scanning a computer or something, that doesn't feel like you don't need to be doing all the.
Bro, we just had Sonic glasses. Like, are we really gonna complain about Jodie?
Yeah, just be glad we're not doing Sonic glasses, man.
It's like Jodie stuck out her arm in her performance, and I found it distracting.
I was offended.
And Peter Capaldi literally had fucking Sonic glasses. And the only reason that actually happened is because he kept wearing his glasses on set, and Stephen Moffat thought Peter looked cool, so he decided to turn them into.
Peter does look cool in the Sonic glasses.
He does, man. He does
that much. Okay. I'll say this about the TARDIS sequence at the end. Okay, the TARDIS sequence.
Come to daddy.
Come to daddy. I mean, mummy. I'm okay with that line. I feel like at the time we said, oh, it's the classic I'm a woman doctor
I kind of hate that stuff, but I really liked it.
I think it's a fun line. The TARDIS sequence, and I could not for the life of you tell me why. I could not for the life of me tell you why. I was very emotional. Like, I felt, I didn't cry, but I felt my eyes well. And I was like, why? Why?
Was it the custard cream coming out the TARDIS that never comes out again?
That's another Jane moment where she went, it's a custard cream.
Is that a custard cream, Maiden?
Maybe it was the really weird close-up of when she's like right up against the TARDIS, and it's like that close-up that
I fucking noticed that. There's one really out of place close-up in that sequence. Really out of place.
So strange. So strange. Like,
I feel like it's a very like filmy thing. I think we only kind of know that from like editing stuff and things like that.
Film brain.
But there's like all the shots are like a mid shot, and then usually you just go really tight for like a ECU, an extreme close up, if it was a really like emotional beat or something. But there is one random line in this TARDIS reveal scene, and it's not an emotional line or anything, but there's one random line that's so tight on her face, and it's so weird.
Really strange.
It's really weird.
Really weird.
Good scene though.
Yeah, the scene in general though, I fucking love.
I really would have loved. I actually seriously would have really loved the TARDIS to keep giving out custard creams. Like, what was the point of it giving it once and never ever doing it again?
We never see the little mini TARDIS either. We never see that again.
Yeah. There's definitely a few things.
I want to say this. I want to say the TARDIS appearing on the rocks looked fucking fantastic. Mm-hmm. That whole sequence looked amazing on the rocks. The best looking sequence in like. Probably in the show ever, and still now. Like, it looks amazing.
It's the fucking TARDIS.
It's the fucking TARDIS love. That's another t-shirt thing.
That's
and then
brilliant.
Just Jane underneath. But
our biggest fan.
The other thing I'll say is shout out Who Corner to Corner, who are another Doctor Who podcast, but these guys are like. Okay, they're far more like we sit here and we're like fucking yeah, and we made a Hitler joke earlier in the show and stuff like that.
We
You came in sick, and we're not going back there. These guys are very PG show, and it's cool, and I love that for them. But they have got so many guests on, and they recently had the production designer from Series 11 on, and so they obviously designed the TARDIS. And they said that the custard cream thing was a thing because Jodie loves the custard cream, so that's why.
Oh, they did explain it.
Yeah, so they built that, and I think on set they actually just showed her. They were like, "Oh, look what we built you," and she was like, "Fuck, that's awesome."
Would you? Here's the thing though, would you actually eat it if it came out the TARDIS? Because just think about this for a second. TARDIS just remade itself, and it just shits out a custard cream.
So
are we really eat it?
Are you saying I'm Jodie Whittaker or I'm the Doctor?
You're the Doctor in that situation.
So we're in the world.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat it. I'd be like, this just came out of a machine.
I'd fucking eat it, mate. Custard cream's a custard cream.
It ain't a custard cream making machine. It's a fucking time machine.
Dylan, custard cream fan? ?
I love custard cream.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always
when I first started making YouTube videos back in the day, I went by Custard Cream Productions.
So the other thing that this production designer said when they came on was that their initial sort of pitch for the TARDIS, right, was
a dead spider.
No, that's what it turned out like. What they wanted to do was that before The Mandalorian happened, they wanted to make basically the volume for the TARDIS.
Right.
And so it was going to be there'll be a few set pieces, but the walls were going to be screens that showed the TARDIS being infinite.
Wow, okay.
Wow. Sick.
But then I think it wasn't the budget or whatever, and they tried to do it, and I think they do a good job with it. Even though I've got problems with the TARDIS too, but I think they do a good job at making it look like there's endless cogs and stuff.
So it would have looked like that you couldn't see the walls almost.
It would just look like the TARDIS went out infinitely.
Wow. Okay.
Really insightful podcast. Check out Who Corner to Corner.
We're going on next week.
They're really kind guys.
Great.
That's a lie.
They asked us to go on their favourite show.
You are such a liar, Connor.
Sorry.
Dylan, any last thoughts on the Ghost Monument, mate? I know we've been battling internet troubles here. I'll try my best to edit it, but yeah, if anyone thinks there's been a bit of a jumpy episode, we've been battling internet here and there. So, Dylan, Ghost Monument, last thoughts?
No, nothing. It's not. It's not bad. It's not great. It's a pretty decent second episode, but not the best second episode of a Doctor. And yeah, I mean, I had a time. It's definitely one of the Doctor episodes
of all time.
It's one of them.
What made you want to come on this episode for Ghost Monument?
I just missed you guys. That's what it was.
Oh,
yeah, I think
I just missed hanging out.
So sweet.
Dylan was
that's so sweet.
Yeah, I think me and Dylan were just talking on the DMs, and yeah, they were like, "Please, I want to come back on. Miss you guys." And so I think I said this will probably be the best episode to have you on. That was coming up. I just want to shout out.
So sweet.
I just poured a gin.
You've been smashing the gins tonight.
I poured a gin, and then I walked off, and we reset the camera and stuff between takes and things, and then I came back down and I poured another shot of gin into my gin. So now I've got almost half a cup of gin.
Editing tonight's gonna be fun.
I've got a lot of work to do tonight. This will be my last one, put it that way.
Yeah,
but this is going to be a very strong gin and tonic. Connor, last thoughts on the Ghost Monument, please.
My last thoughts on the episode, the Ghost Monument, would be that I think it's a sad episode. You know what this kind of reminds me of? Remember how Beast Below was kind of mid, and that was the second episode of the new era? That's
a really good comparison, I think.
Thank you. I'm here a week. I do a podcast show called the 50% Doctor Who Podcast. Okay. Yeah, I think that it's mid. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, and good night.
I think my COVID right now is stronger. That's if I have it. So many good jokes from Connor tonight.
I think I was pretty won over by a lot of it.
Yeah, you seem like you really enjoyed it.
See,
more than Jane at least.
I feel like it's the fucking.
Will Jane ever not go on her phone and watch it? Do you think she'll ever watch something?
I think she'll watch I'm going to make her watch the David ones. Because I remember...
me too. I'm forcing my family to watch the David ones. Even though I know they're going to be like, oh, shit.
Right, I was having dinner with them a couple of days after the Power of the Doctor. And I remember I just
oh, isn't David Tennant back here? No. I heard about it on Facebook.
No, the news was on. And we were watching the news whilst we were having dinner. And then all of a sudden the news cut to black. And then the David Tennant regeneration scene started, and I was like, "Oh fuck! I don't know how that happened. I just accidentally Chromecast the scene onto the TV.
Oh.
My bad." And like my parents watched it and were like, "Fuck yeah!"
News?
And then immediately after the trailer for the 60th started, and they were like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And I was like, "I don't know. It wasn't me." My mom sat there doing it on my phone.
I feel like no one really cares about us, like about David coming back. We're just like, "This is so exciting." They're like, "Yeah, it's cool." What's the big deal, though? It's like, you don't know the big deal.
You don't know the big deal.
Is that he's coming back.
But the Ghost Monument, I think I was won over by some of its fun visuals. I think talking it through with you two has made me realize it's a bit of a rough episode. It definitely suffers from some quite rushed dialogue. And I think it completely loses its way in the second act. But I still enjoyed watching it, and so for that, I'm gonna keep a decent score for it.
Okay.
Should we do scores?
Yep.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Guest, hit us with the score before your internet drops you out.
Goes first.
6 out of 10.
6. Okay, respectable.
6
Respectable.
out of 10. Yeah.
I respect that. I'm gonna give it a 5. I think it's just fine. Actually, I think it's just average. I think it's slapped down in the middle of not being bad and not being great. I think it's just an episode that you can watch in the series, but probably won't go back and rewatch it ever.
It's fine, fucking fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it, and I think this kind of sits with how I've been talking with you guys about it. I'm gonna give it a 6.5. I enjoyed it a little bit more than you two.
And what did Jane give it?
It's nothing exceptional. Jane gave it it's a fucking tireless love.
Can we start getting Jane's reviews even though she doesn't watch the whole episode? Can she give us a score out of 10?
I was trying to think of like a joke she could make in the climax of Rosa or something, and I was like, no, you can't. You can't, mate.
Suddenly your mum, I don't know if it's because you've been using the AKTV, but suddenly your mum's just suddenly having all these reactions.
Because the last like 2 years I've just been watching them in my bedroom. But,
right. Okay. I purposely wait till no one's around to watch stuff because I hate people walking in.
I'm not loving it when they're walking because I definitely get distracted a little bit when they come in, and when they're scrolling on their phone, I'm always kind of looking over my shoulder like, this is a good moment. Are you looking up now? I wouldn't
be doing that.
But then when they come in, you get great content for the show. You get great comments.
Yeah.
You get mum walking out of the John Sim reveal and then pretending like nothing happened when she comes back in.
I kind of want to do like I don't think she can do it because of her job. But I want to do like after we reviewed the 60th, like do like I showed my mum the 60th anniversary.
Kind of had him watch along with his mum.
Well, more of like a
bring
review.
Your mum to work day, motherfucker.
Well, it's like no, like more like a review. Like, you know, what did you think? Like, I don't know. I think it could just be funny, but I don't think with her job she could do it. But
yeah. And
I don't like my mum's so sweet, but I don't want her to say something that will make people annoyed. Like, I don't know about that new Doctor. It's like my mum hates every Doctor from David Tennant onwards. So it's like it's got nothing to do with anyone. She's
not even like, onwards. It's just if they weren't David Tennant.
Yeah, it's like I don't like that. What's his name? Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi.
Like, it's like she hates every Doctor. It's not David Tennant. So it's like I just don't want her to say some dumb shit like that.
Our mums are very similar.
Yeah, they are. They are. That is weird, isn't it? I feel like they're like our parallel world parents.
Dylan, did your parents watch Doctor Who at all?
No.
No, just not interested.
Yeah,
didn't you say
my dad?
Didn't you say your mum like tried to stop you watching it or something? Like she like would tell you it was on at a different time or something, so you'd miss it every week.
Yeah. So because I used to go to my dad's every weekend, she used to tell me that like Doctor Who was on Fridays on BBC 3 and not Saturdays on BBC 1, so I'd always be a week behind.
What the hell?
Yeah, no, they just don't. They don't really care about Doctor Who. I actually, when I went back home in 2021, and when I was watching Revolution of the Daleks, my mum was like, "Do you still watch this?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "I never thought you'd still be watching this."
I think that's my family too. Half the time, like whenever I mention a Doctor Who thing, they're like, "Oh, you're still watching it."
Yeah.
Great. Oh, you're still doing that podcast. Oh, you're doing a Ted Lasso podcast as well. Okay.
Yeah. Did I say about that little date I went on and she was like, she's like, what have you been doing? I'm like, I've been doing the Doctor Who show still. She's like, are you still doing that?
Yeah,
and I was like, bruh.
I think you said that off air last week.
I was like, number 11 of Doctor Who podcast. Come on, like I can't be doing that bad, you know. Like we're goated in a way. Yeah.
Dylan, I'm so sorry. So we've been battling terrible internet problems with you today. Yeah. Anything to plug? I know you're wearing a T-shirt that could possibly be pluggable.
Oh, yes. I'm selling these really cool T-shirts on my Instagram at Dylan Corcoran W. That's Corcoran is spelled Corcoran, then W at the end. You can follow me on Twitter at Dylan on the Shelf, I think it is, and then
I think so.
On TikTok, which will be Dylan Corcoran W again. Hopefully cool stuff is happening, or maybe not. Who knows? We have to find out.
Dylan, how does it work with Australian currency with the T-shirts?
No idea. I can figure it out though.
So you can't buy them overseas? Is that?
No, I'm pretty sure I can. I think I can ship them overseas, but I'd probably have to charge, like if you don't live in the UK, it'd probably have to be a bit extra because obviously I have to pay for it to get shipped and stuff. But yeah, I can figure all that out.
I like to support friends out. I remember I bought like a really expensive, I think it was like $150 or something for my friend once, but I was like, I'll do it for you. So
it won't be that. I would never charge something like that. I would never do that.
It was really good quality though, but I was like, fuck, like shit. But yeah, I like to support that kind of thing. So
yeah, we love it, and they're good shirts. You keep posting them, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta get one.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. What does the shirt say, Dylan? Read it to us.
So it says, "My homies cuddle me when I have scary dreams."
And we know from the show that we both get scary dreams.
We've spoken about our scary dreams.
Yeah, he can't even open his eyes when he has scary dreams.
Still don't to this day, mate.
Yeah, so I think that's a bit accurate. So
accurate, yep. All right, Dylan. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so sorry that's been a bit of a scramble of an episode between the internets.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, lovely having you again, Dylan. And yeah, I do want to say that I'm sorry that I'm a bit sick and have COVID.
Oh, here he goes for the COVID attention. He's just got to get it. I'm really
scared that people are going to be mad at me for coming in. But I got a negative test.
I mean, we could have gone the episode without even saying you think you might have COVID.
Yeah, but I have to I feel like
you have to make drama for the content.
I feel like I have to make a bit of content. Also, I feel like I sound a bit, and when I get the flu, I start acting like a madman. And it is 4:20, and I don't want people to think I've been smoking up, because on my mum's life I haven't. Well, so I swear on everything I've been smoking up on.
Maybe you haven't been.
Well,
but
it's Aiden's and Connor's podcast.
Sorry,
I've not done this episode high. I just like to clarify that I'm not high right now.
Doctor Who reviews, because Aiden's not in Amsterdam. Hey!
I'm not high in Amsterdam.
And that is not referring to this week's episode of Ted Lasso, which you can check out. Ted Lasso post-match starring Vinny and Dylan.
If you're not watching Ted Lasso...
And Aiden, sorry.
Regardless or not, if you're listening to my spin-off podcast, I think you should be watching Ted Lasso, because Ted Lasso is a fucking amazing show.
Yeah, I mightn't be all that you get.
Dylan, can you give us one controversial sentence about Doctor Who, and then we cut, and then we end right there. This is the end credit scene.
Doctor Who is a show for kids.